Welcome to the deep dive. Today we're zeroing in on a really interesting opportunity, Vietnam, specifically as a key sourcing location for wood and bamboo products.
Right.
So if you're thinking about diversifying where you get your goods, maybe improving your bottom line and, tapping into that growing demand for sustainable options, this is for you.
Exactly. We've basically sifted through a lot of the info out there to pull out the core insights. What you really need to know about sourcing wood and bamboo from Vietnam.
Mm-hmm.
The idea is to give you a clear, kind of actionable understanding of this market,
Right.
but without, drowning you in details you don't need right now.
Okay, sounds good. So let's just dive right in. Why Vietnam? Why is it such a hot topic for sourcing right now? What makes it stand out?
Well, there are a few really compelling factors that sort of come together. First, Vietnam just has these lush forests, abundant resources, and a really long established history of craftsmanship with wood and bamboo.
So it's not just the raw material, it's the skill too.
Precisely. It's deeply ingrained in the culture. And second, they've really built up a significant network of factories that are, export ready. The infrastructure is there.
Okay. And it feels like that conversation around diversifying supply chains, not putting all your eggs in one basket, that's constantly in the news. How does Vietnam fit there?
Oh, absolutely. For a lot of businesses, Vietnam offers a really strategic alternative, especially to China. It lets them spread their risk, build more robust supply chains.
Right.
And what's really interesting is that factory quotes you get from Vietnam, they can often land around, say, 15% below comparable offers from China.
15%. Wow. Okay. That's a real difference maker for margins, isn't it?
It really can be.
Yeah.
And it often comes down to a mix of things, labor cost, maybe the current stage of industrial development there.
Yeah. And the sustainability angle, that seems like a major draw with Vietnam as well.
It is, yeah. It's a big plus. Vietnam's made pretty significant progress in sustainable forestry. They've got nearly 9 million hectares dedicated to plantation timber.
9 million, okay.
Yeah. And plus, you've got the Mekong Delta and the Northern Highlands, which are just rich and fast-growing bamboo. So that provides a really consistent supply of, responsibly sourced materials.
Which is huge for businesses trying to appeal to those eco-conscious consumers.
Exactly. A huge advantage there.
So if someone was looking at Vietnam, where would they typically find these production centers? Are there specific regions they should focus on?
The main hubs, they tend to be clustered around Ho Chi Minh City down in the south and Hanoi up in the north.
Okay.
And you'll find really the whole spectrum. Everything from smaller sort of family-run workshops doing specialized crafts, maybe like lacquerware, right up to larger, more automated plants churning out high-volume stuff like furniture sets.
And I think our sources mentioned something about local ownership being quite high.
Yeah, that's right. Over 90% apparently of these processors are locally owned.
90%. Why is that significant for someone like an importer looking to source there?
Well, it can often mean quicker decision-making. Shorter chains of command.
Right.
And you might find factory owners who are just genuinely motivated, really eager to secure new business. It can sometimes translate to maybe more flexible MOQs, minimum order quantities, potentially more direct sort of personalized relationships.
That could be really valuable, especially for smaller companies, I imagine.
For sure.
Now, when we think about products from Vietnam, furniture probably jumps to mind first for most people, but the information we looked at suggests the range is actually much wider than that.
That's a really key takeaway. Yes, furniture is a major export, absolutely. But Vietnamese suppliers are also producing this surprisingly diverse range of other goods.
Like what?
Things like kitchenware, toys, home decor items, even gift items, often using materials like acacia and oak, not just bamboo. And we're also seeing this kind of innovative trend of laminating bamboo panels onto hardwood frames.
Oh, okay. So you get the sort of eco-friendly vibe of bamboo, but maybe with extra durability from the hardwood frame.
Precisely, yeah. It's a way to offer a more sustainable product, perhaps, without sacrificing that longevity, that structure.
Clever.
Now, regardless of the specific product you're aiming for, one thing is just absolutely critical, and that's having crystal clear specifications.
Ah, yes. The spec sheet. We've all heard nightmare stories about misunderstandings there, causing major headaches down the line.
Exactly.
So what's the best way to make sure everyone's truly on the same page right from the very start?
Look, detailed technical drawings.
Yeah.
They're invaluable. And providing physical reference samples if you can. even better.
Right, like make it look exactly like this.
Pretty much. The more precise you are upfront about every little requirement,
Huh?
the less room there is for, guesswork or misinterpretation. And you'll almost certainly cut down on the number of sampling rounds needed.
Saves time, saves money.
Definitely. Now, once you've maybe shortlisted a few potential suppliers, that's when a really thorough vetting process becomes essential.
Okay, vetting. What are the non-negotiables there? What should someone absolutely be looking for?
Well, start by requesting a comprehensive factory profile. You want details on their ownership, the markets they currently export to, any relevant certifications they hold,
Right.
like ISO 9001, for quality management systems.
Yeah.
Or BSCI, which focuses more on social compliance in the workplace.
Okay.
And crucially, you really need to invest in either an on-site visit, if that's feasible for you, or at the very least, a detailed virtual audit.
So actually seeing their operation, even if it's just through a screen, is basically a must-do.
It really is. Our sources, they rightly point out that a relatively small inspection fee, it's like cheap insurance.
Ha! Yeah, I can see that.
It can help you spot potential quality issues early on, things like moisture problems in the wood, which can be disastrous later, or defects in the finish. It prevents much bigger, much costlier problems down the line.
Makes sense. And speaking of potential pitfalls, compliance. That's another area where you need to be proactive, right?
Absolutely. Doing your due diligence on compliance early is key.
So what are the specific compliance things that are most relevant when you're sourcing wood and bamboo?
Okay, so for businesses selling into the U.S. or the EU, you absolutely need chain of custody documentation. This is vital to prove that timber is legally sourced.
Right. You've got regulations like the Lacey Act in the U.S.
Exactly. And the EUTR in the European Union. You need that paperwork.
Okay.
The good news is many Vietnamese exporters are already quite familiar with these requirements. It's common for them to have, say, Forest Stewardship Council FSC certifications already.
Which shows responsible forest management.
Right. And they often have test reports confirming they meet CARB2 or TSCA limits. Those are standards for formaldehyde emissions in composite wood products.
So it sounds like in many cases, the documentation might already exist. You need to specifically ask for it.
Precisely. It's often just a case of asking the right questions early on. And, it's not just about environmental regs anymore. Social standards are increasingly important to consumers.
True. People care where things come from and how they're made.
Definitely. So many Vietnamese manufacturers are getting certifications like M4A BSCI or maybe SA8000. These show their commitment to fair labor practices, ethical working conditions.
And that's achievable for them.
Well, Vietnam's competitive wage structure can actually make achieving these social compliance audits perhaps more feasible for factories compared to some other regions.
Okay, interesting. So we've covered quality, sustainability, meeting regulations. Let's circle back to the money side, the financial advantages. We mentioned that potential for, 15% lower factory quotes. Are there other cost benefits someone might see?
Yeah, there can be. Local transportation costs within Vietnam are generally quite competitive.
Okay.
For instance, trucking a full 40-foot high cube container from a manufacturing hub like, say, Binh Duong to a major port like Cat Lai.
Yeah.
They usually cost less than USD 150.
Oh, wow. That's pretty low for trucking a full container.
It is. And ocean freight costs to major markets, like Los Angeles, for example, are also often favorable. You're typically looking at a range, maybe USD 1,300 to 1,800. Depends heavily on the time of year and, the shipping market conditions, which fluctuate.
Right, always fluctuating. And what about import duties? When the goods actually arrive in the U.S., what are we looking at?
That's another potential plus. Most wooden products coming into the U.S. from Vietnam face a duty rate of around 4%. And some specific categories might even qualify for 0% duty under recent trade agreements.
0%, okay, that's significant too.
It adds up. And the total lead time, so from when production starts in Vietnam to when the goods actually arrive at their destination port, is typically around 60 days.
60 days, that seems pretty standard for international shipping, right?
It is, yeah. Pretty typical timeline.
Okay. Any tips for managing the logistics side of things, keeping those costs predictable?
Yes. Definitely. It's usually advisable to lock in your freight rates relatively close to the sailing date, ideally within, say, a week of departure.
Why so close?
Just to avoid surprises from market volatility. Rates can jump around.
Got it. Makes sense.
And also, this is really important, conduct a pre-shipment inspection, usually when around 80% of the order is packed and ready to go.
80% packed. Why then?
It allows you to identify and address any defects while there's still a chance for rework at the factory before it all gets sealed up and shipped out.
Ah, smart. Catch problems before they leave the country.
Exactly. Reduces your risk significantly.
Okay, all of this. It really paints a pretty compelling picture for Vietnam. Do we have any real-world examples, businesses that have successfully navigated this whole process and are seeing the benefits?
We do, actually. Our sources highlight the experience of a home goods importer based up in Toronto.
Okay, Canadian company.
Yep. They were specifically looking for FSC-certified bamboo cutting boards, and crucially, they wanted to avoid the tariffs that were hitting goods coming out of China at the time.
Right, the tariff situation. Big motivator for many.
Huge.
Yeah.
So a sourcing company called Vietnam Direct Sourcing helped them out. They identified 3 potential suppliers down near Ho Chi Minh City.
3 options. And how did it go? Any hurdles?
Yeah, there was a bit of a hiccup, actually. The first factory they evaluated, well, their products didn't pass the required formaldehyde tests, so that was a no-go.
Oh, okay. Good thing they tested.
Absolutely. But the second supplier they vetted, the runner-up, they met all the criteria perfectly.
Great.
And the really significant part of this story is the cost savings they achieved. The final landed cost of those bamboo cutting boards from the Vietnamese supplier. It was a full 18% lower than what they used to pay their Chinese supplier.
18%. That's even better than the 15% we mentioned earlier. That's substantial.
It really is a huge cost reduction for them.
And presumably the quality was good too. It wasn't just cheaper.
Totally up to par. The first container apparently arrived without any issues at all. And as a result, that Toronto importer has since expanded their sourcing with that same Vietnamese supplier.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, they've added coordinating utensil sets and serving trays to their orders now. It's just a great illustration of how, a careful, systematic approach really can lead to significant benefits.
Yeah, finding the right partner, doing the checks pays off.
It does.
So based on successes like that and maybe some of the potential challenges we've touched on, what are some key, let's call them ground rules, for building successful sourcing partnerships in Vietnam? What advice would you give someone just starting to explore this?
Okay, yeah, ground rules. Good way to put it. Several key points stand out. First, provide extremely detailed, clear technical drawings and specs right from the outset. No ambiguity.
We covered that, yeah. Crucial.
Absolutely. Second, it's probably wise to start with a pilot order. Maybe aim for around 20% of what you think your annual volume will be before you commit to much larger quantities. Test the waters.
Sensible. De-risk it a bit.
Exactly. Third, do not skip those pre-shipment inspections. We just talked about why. They are crucial insurance.
Got it. Inspections are a must.
Also, maybe be aware of some cultural nuances. For instance, a small gesture, like sending a small gift around Tet, that's the Vietnamese Lunar New Year, it can really help build goodwill. Might even, potentially improve your production priority a little.
Interesting cultural tip. Build that relationship.
It helps. And finally, just practically speaking, it's prudent to get updated freight quotes, maybe weekly, just to stay informed of any price fluctuations before you ship.
Right. Keep on top of those shipping costs. Good list.
Yeah, those are some key ones.
Okay, so just to kind of recap everything.
Right.
What are the core strengths that Vietnam really brings to the table as a sourcing destination, specifically for these wood and bamboo products?
Well, I think Vietnam offers this really compelling blend, right? You've got this skilled craftsmanship we talked about, but also significant modern manufacturing capability.
Best of both worlds, maybe.
In a way, yeah. It provides a pretty reliable pathway to sourcing unique, often ethically produced goods. And importantly these days, it offers a way to navigate some of the complexities and turbulence around international tariffs. So by really prioritizing clear communication, doing that thorough due diligence on suppliers, ensuring compliance, importers can effectively protect their margins and meet that growing customer demand for these kinds of products.
This has been a really insightful deep dive. Thanks for breaking that down. It's clear there's a significant opportunity in Vietnam for the right products and the right approach.
Definitely seems that way.
So for you, the listener, as you consider your own sourcing needs and maybe the increasing importance of sustainability in your market, what specific steps might you take now to explore Vietnam as, a viable part of your supply chain? Taking that thoughtful, disciplined approach we discussed, in a market like Vietnam, it really could deliver some lasting dividends for your business. Something to think about. Thanks for exploring this with us today.